Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants here, and welcome to episode 89 of Secret Sauce, the restaurant marketing podcast. How to fly like Gordon Ramsay.
Some restaurants are quiet, lose money, and the owner works 70 hours a week. Other restaurants are busy, profitable, and the owners work a few hours a day. What's the difference? They have a secret sauce. Join James from Marketing for Restaurants as he helps you come up with your recipe for restaurant success. Your secret sauce.
So, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting podcast for you. One of the things that I like to think that we do at Marketing for Restaurants is we help restaurant owners to build the kind of business that they always wanted to have. And, there's a couple of things in there. You've got to have profitability. We don't want people working ridiculously long hours for minimal return. And we want you to be able to take a holiday. I think that's really important. And I think if you listen to enough of these podcasts, you'll realize that we're all about providing you with the tools to be able to take a decent holiday. Now, I've got a couple of questions for you. Okay, so do you have a credit card that you use to pay for the expenses in your restaurant? Duh, probably everyone has. I mean, we've got one. I don't have a restaurant. I've got a business though, and we've got a couple of credit cards. Now, if you're like us, you probably have some not insignificant transactions go through that credit card on a monthly basis. So what we always do, we always try and pay the credit card off at the end of the month. Don't always get there, but we usually do. There are some things that you can do that can help you accrue points at a massive rate. And I'm talking frequent flyer points. This is really important. So we mentioned it before when we took our trip to Asia on Princess Cruises and we flew across with Qantas. I was lucky enough to be able to get an upgrade not just for me and Tina, but for the kids as well. So for the four of us, we were able to get an upgrade to business class. And I've got to tell you, that experience, traveling Qantas business class, I really don't think I need to take the kids to Disneyland now because A, it got the holiday off to an epic start, but B, it was a fundamentally epic part of the holiday. The kids really loved it. I loved, being able to provide them with that kind of experience. And the really important thing, I didn't pay an extra cracker for it. So we bought our economy class seats and we were able to get that upgrade. It's really about being clever about the way that you use your credit cards. Now, this is something that I think is really important and something that, when you get to the point when you can take a holiday, you can fly somewhere nice, you can fly there in style, fly there like Gordon Ramsay. What I thought I'd do is I would get Steve Huey in. So he's got a business called I Fly Flat because you get to lay down flat in business class. It's pretty sweet. And he is known as the Points Whisperer. Now, so his business helps Australian businesses to maximise their points and to book flights. So he doesn't have customers in the US, but these things work just as well, if not better, for restaurant owners in the US. I think it's amazing. We have 4 times as many listeners in the United States as we do have in Australia, which is epic. So for all of you going to be traveling a lot more American or United as opposed to Qantas or Virgin, have a listen. These tactics that Steve's talking about, they're going to work just as well for you guys over there as well. And same in the UK. So lots of things to think about with this. Steve comes up with a whole heap of really good tactics. So let's jump into the interview so that we can help you get that business class flight a little bit sooner. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Pleasure.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Yeah, so we help businesses to make the most out of their frequent flyer points and credit card points and really get cheap business class tickets. So as you know, if you have frequent flyer points, you can actually use them to book a ticket. So what we help companies do is to get more of those points in a structured way. So you can always get more points from paying your bills, get those points and fly cheaply.
Which is a good thing to do. So how did you get into this?
Yeah, my background is accounting and numbers. So I practically worked out that this was like a smart way of getting cheap tickets because, the traditional ways You just got to buy a ticket and see, like, for example, you might go on Flight Centre and whatever the price it is, and it happens to be a sale, then that's cool. But I figured out that if you had frequent flyer points, you can virtually get like a permanent sale. Like everything will always be on sale because if you had the points, you can fly. But I literally just figured it out and thought that this is the best thing since sliced bread.
I've been the benefactor of a few upgrades into business class before, and the biggest issue I find with travelling business class is that once you've travelled business class once, you don't really ever want to go back, do you?
Definitely. And I think that what I've experienced is that once you start flying first class, you don't want to fly business either. So it goes up to scale.
And I was just going to say that you're in a league above where I am because, you've done... So do you want to just tell us briefly about a first class experience? How much better is it than business class?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So like business class and first class both have fully flat beds now, so you can have a good sleep. So the key difference in my mind is that business class, there's lots of people. You might be in a cabin of 20 or 30 people.
Yep.
So business class, you can get what you want. So if you wanted a drink, you get served a drink. The difference is first class is that people will try to predict what you want and offer things to you. So you might not even be thirsty, but you might get offered food and drink. So therefore, you're looked after before you even know that you need something. And I think that's a big difference. There's people walking around thinking about how to make your trip even better.
Yep. Nice. Which is something that we all deserve, right?
Yeah, that's right. I guess, like say in a restaurant environment, if you're a guest, it's about being sort of looked after.
Yep.
Because sometimes you might not even know what's on offer. So, the airline will give you a menu of the food and drinks that you can choose and might show you the functions of your seat. But unless you've flown it before, you might be a bit apprehensive about asking. So a good airline will actually show you and ask you, have you been on board? If not, they'll show you everything that's on offer.
Yep. So what sort of opportunity is there for a small business? What sort of size do you need to be able to start to be able to get hold of these offers? Yeah,
so I think that one thing to cover first is just the concept of it, because once you understand the concept, then obviously the more money you spend, the more points you earn.
Yep.
The general idea is that if you buy something with a credit card, say you go to, say, supermarkets or department store, it might be, say, you buy $50 and you pay with a credit card and you can get those points. And you might get those points for free because there might be no surcharge. Those points can then be used to swap for something, like a ticket. So if you increase that and say you had saved up, say, 200,000 points, you can actually swap those points for a business class ticket to Los Angeles or 2 economy tickets. I always focus on using business class because one business class ticket is probably worth about $6,000 if you bought it.
Yep.
But 2 economy tickets might only be worth $2,000, so $1,000 each. So you're getting so much more value using points of business class than economy. That's the idea behind it. If you can get these points for pretty cheap, then you can use it for something that's really extra special. I guess to answer your questions, like what numbers make sense, it really sort of depends where you want to go. So, for example, if you want to go to Los Angeles, business class, you're looking at 192,000 points. Then you roughly have to spend about $192,000 just paying bills, and you get the points for that trip.
Yep.
And so therefore, the more you spend, the more points you get. The less you spend, it might take you maybe 2 or 3 years to accumulate the points. But at the end of the day, you're still getting pretty much very cheap business class ticket.
What's the sort of process then to do this? I mean, obviously there's the selection of the credit card. That would be probably the most important thing, wouldn't it?
That's right. It's probably 2 parts. So selection of the credit card means that you can work out how many points you'll get per dollar. So getting the right card means that you can earn up to triple the points. So what I mean is that one credit card might get you only half a point per every dollar you spend. Another credit card can get you 2 or 3 points for every dollar. So picking the right card is important, but also picking the right card that transfers to the right airline. So what I mean by that is some credit cards, say, might only earn Qantas points. Another credit card might only earn Virgin points, or maybe another credit card can earn different points where you can then, say, American Express, earn membership reward points and then transfer them to different people. So that second part, the flexibility, is important too. because if you had lots and lots of Qantas points, but where you want to fly to has no Qantas seats, you can't use those points. They seem wasted.
Yep. So how do you then go through card selection? What are your sort of tips then for picking the right card?
Yeah, so the right tip is about matching the card to your spending habits. So we never get people to change the suppliers. Basically, always use the suppliers that you're happy with, whoever you buy it from. But it's about understanding your spending habits. So what I mean by that is if someone spends a lot of money on alcohol and their supplier might take American Express or might take Visa. So it's about working out what your suppliers will take and what fee they'll charge you, so what surcharge. And then that will then help you determine whether you as a business, do you spend more money that you can pay with American Express or more money that you can pay with Visa. And then that will eventually decide what credit card will work for you.
What about the credit card surcharges then? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the credit card surcharges aren't bad. One way to think about credit card surcharges is it's one way to get like a discounted flight.
Yep.
So maybe let's take that Los Angeles example again. So 192,000 points will cost you to get a business class return. Generally, it's 1 point per dollar. So say you spend $192,000, you get 192,000 points. If you had a 1% surcharge, for example, that means that $192,000 times 1% will cost you just under $2,000 to earn those points. But in return, you're swapping that for a ticket that's worth $6,000. So therefore, you save $4,000. You bought yourself a discounted ticket through accruing those points.
Do you have any idea how many people would be purchasing business class flights versus paying cash for them?
Most people flying business class are probably corporate people.
Yep.
So the company is paying for it. Most small business owners probably wouldn't fly business class because the price of business versus economy is nearly 4 times the price.
Yep.
As a small business owner myself, I know that, I would rather spend $4,000 in the business, like marketing, all this other stuff. There's endless expenses you can pay to grow your business. Yeah, so most small business people would just be flying economy and hoping the trip goes well. But what I love about sort of this perk, which I'm doing, or this benefit that business can get hold of is, say for $2,000, which is not much more than economy, you get to enjoy business class as well. So it's a cut price way to travel.
And I guess one of the things that there's always the opportunity around is negotiating that surcharge down, and particularly if it's with a supplier that you're spending quite a bit of money with.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's a good method because normally if a supplier charges you an invoice, they might give you, say, 14 days to pay, or some might even give you, say, 30 days to pay. So, like in business, cash flow is king, right? So you can negotiate with your supplier and say, well, rather than pay you in 14 days or 30 days, if you agree to take credit card for no fee, why don't I just pay you within 3 business days? As soon as I see the invoice and it's cool, I'll just pay you for my credit card. Therefore, that means that for me, it goes on my credit card and I've still got my interest-free days pay. I get the points. And then for you, the supplier, you get your money in a couple of days and then you can just get on with business that way. So that's what I like doing. I typically pay my suppliers within 3 business days because then I know and they know that they've done a good job and they got paid. And that's the whole transaction completed, right? You do a good job, you send an invoice and you got paid. That's a tick for both parties.
So how big a practice is this? Like how many small business owners do you think would be doing this kind of thing?
Not that many, because I think what most people, they haven't got the understanding around surcharges. I think that's the biggest thing is most people that come across that before they become our clients, they think, well, why would you pay 1%, 2% on your credit card just to earn the points? And what they're missing out on the fact that you have to do the whole start to the end calculation. If you do start to the end, pay the surcharges and swap those points for a ticket, basically every single business class ticket is half price from then on.
So they
just don't get that bit.
Yep. And it makes a big difference because it's the ability to do something that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to pay for as a small business owner.
Yeah, which is why I sort of love doing my business and helping people, because this is a perk which is just, it's sort of a little bit irrational, but once you apply the numbers to it on a spreadsheet, it literally all works out. but it's not available to everyone. So if you're just working as an employee for somebody, you couldn't use this to a large scale. So it's actually perfect for small business because they've got bills to pay and they can decide what credit card they want and then negotiate with their supplier. So they're really in a real sweet spot.
Exactly, and I think, there's a lot of things. There'd be a high percentage of the cost. Obviously, wages are a bit tricky to do on credit card, but pretty much everything else you'd be able to put on a credit card, which means that there's significantly, in a business with 5 or 10 people, there would be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of expenses that could be put on a credit card.
Yeah, that's right. You can pay your tax, your BAS, GST. You can even pay your super, contractors, rent. You can actually pay everything through your credit card, whether or not the supplier takes credit card directly. There's ways to get that paid. So which means that, say, a small business can probably earn enough points for maybe 1 or 2 trips per year, which is perfect because when they take their holidays, they can just use their points to fly. And, you don't even have to fork out much money out of your pocket.
Are there any cards these days that offer 1 point for payments to the ATO?
Not directly. So you have to use like an intermediary. So there's a couple of companies out there called payment aggregators. And what they do is they sit in them. So they'll charge your credit card.
Yep.
And then they'll use that money and then they'll send an EFT or BPay to whoever you like. And that's one way to pay the ATO. So there's three companies. There's actually 4 companies in this space. So there's one called Reward Pay, one called B2B Pay, another one called Payment Logic, and the last one is actually an American Express business called Access Line. So they all do the same thing. They charge you a fee, and then they charge your credit card, and it still works out to be quite good value.
Because making payments to the tax department, that's a huge spending for any business, isn't it? I mean, everyone should be paying their tax.
Yeah.
So being able to do that.
Everyone has tax to pay, and rent to pay. So even if you look at just those 2 lines, there's a benefit to be done. But the best benefits are wherever you can negotiate with your supplier for zero surcharge, because then you're literally getting these points for free.
Wow, I didn't know about those payment aggregators. That's a good tip. What about using the points for upgrades as opposed to buying them outright? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the number of points to an upgrade, to get an upgrade versus outright, it's very, very similar. So let's take an example. Say Sydney to London. If you bought like a economy ticket and you want to upgrade your business class, you'll need 120,000 Qantas points to do the upgrade if you get it. It's a bit of a lottery. You may or may not get an upgrade, but if you get it. But if you're looking for a business class flight outright, it's only 128,000 points. So literally it's only 8,000 points more, and you can find and book a seat in advance. Plus, you've got to pay taxes.
Yep.
But that means that at least you know that you're flying business class rather than hoping that you will.
Interesting, because traditionally that's what we've done, is we've bought a fare that's upgradable and then applied for the upgrade. And I must admit, we've been quite lucky. We've had upgrades probably more often than not.
Yeah. Like if you've gold, platinum or above status, then you get a better chance because it's actually allocated based on a ranking system.
Yep.
So if there's any available seats or last-minute available seats because a flight didn't connect or whatever, so they look at everyone who's made a request for an upgrade and then they rank you. And obviously, the people who are most valuable to the airline will get the upgrade. And if there's not enough seats, then the rest miss out.
Yes, yep. I've finally made the illustrious gold club with Qantas.
Cool.
Yeah, as the business has been picking up, I've been doing more and more flying, and it's not even the end of the year yet. So, that's been...
cool. You've done a lot of flying.
I'm hoping to... I should hit platinum by the end of my 12 months. So, yeah, we've been doing a bit of flying. As the number of customers have picked up, we've been going out and doing a few deals and things like that. So, yeah, which is... So it'll be exciting, hitting platinum, because the perks are meant to be quite good.
Did you know? That's a good thing because you're flying so much Qantas. You know there are credit cards out there that will get you triple points for every dollar you spend on Qantas. So I'm not sure what credit card you got, but you could be getting maybe half a point at the moment, but you can get a credit card that will get you 3 points for every dollar Potentially you could be earning 6 times more points on the same dollar.
Exactly, yes. We've got our main business card, which we're just about to get rid of, is capped, and it's capped at something ridiculous. Like I think it's 5,000 points a month, and
Yep.
we would put a lot more through that on a monthly basis and that's just our normal practice. Put it on the credit card, then pay the credit card off. Because obviously, I think that's probably a good point to bring up. You've got to pay the credit card off, otherwise, then you're paying horrific credit card interest.
Yeah, definitely there. So never run a balance, otherwise you lose all the impact of the points.
Yep. What about the offers? That's the other thing that's worth thinking about, is the offers that come out intermittently for signing up for a new credit card. That can be quite lucrative as far as points go, can't it?
Yeah, so those are good for maybe once a year or something. I wouldn't really recommend people get too many credit cards.
Yep.
Because impacts on their credit rating. Also because normally when you run a business, you're probably paying yourself just enough money, so you're not paying the highest tax rate, which means that you are not able to show that you're earning enough money for the credit card. So that's the other factor for small business owners. Because you're trying to be tax effective, you're not earning enough money. Money could be still in the business, but you're just not paying it for yourself.
Yeah, yep. That could be a factor for some business owners, definitely. In your business, what is it that you do for business owners then? How do you sort of structure your services?
Yeah, so we have an advisory service. So one part is a spot advisory. So we work with companies to work out the right expenses to pay the right card. So that earns you the maximum points. And determining where you want to go, we can structure so you're earning the points that work for you. What I mean by that is a lot of people might have Qantas points. Qantas is excellent. They take you everywhere. But Qantas is not the cheapest to go to certain places. Like some other airlines, like Singapore might be cheaper to go to Europe. Virgin might be cheaper to go to America. So we'll fine-tune that depending on what people want. And then the second service is if you've got accumulated frequent flyer points or credit card points, we'll have a points flight finder service. So finding points flights can be quite difficult. You don't really know what you're doing or you don't have time. So we'll find a flight for you and we'll book it for you. And then we charge a success fee or a booking fee for that.
And I have to say, it's a fairly arcane art getting all of this right. We're amateurs at it, partially because of the amount of time. If you're not doing this all the time, it can be very, very frustrating to try and get the right flight at the right time and working out how many points. So there's a lot of variables involved with it, isn't there?
It changes quite a bit too. So sometimes you might have more seats going here and all of a sudden they've all gone for reasons unknown that no one really knows. Sometimes the number of points to fly somewhere. So in a way, I like it because I like, for us, if the things keep changing, that makes it complex and we stay ahead of the game.
Yep.
But yeah, for the general punter, it's like if you only book a couple of flights a year, it's like buying a house. Like you want to get an expert to do it because they do it every week, whereas you sort of come in and sort of try to do it, but you don't even know if you're doing it right.
Exactly. And the other thing is that you'd be able to work out the anomalies in the system as well. You know, when there's cheap offers on, the ability to pick up points at a rate that's a lot cheaper than normal, or routes or flights that are cheaper than they would normally be.
Yeah, so probably not normally cheaper because there's always, the airline just determines a price, which they list.
Yep.
But what we can get is construct a way that will get you your seat. So in one scenario, you might be searching and you just can't find anything because you're not looking in the right combinations.
Yep.
And so therefore, it's about thinking outside of square and thinking, well, if you want to go to London, there's probably about 20 ways to fly there through the different connections and which one has seats. And you might be, say, fly via Dubai one way. You might fly back by Singapore another way. There's many options to get you there.
Yep.
And also, I think the other thing is sometimes the booking part is difficult because the online system just doesn't work the way you expect it to work. So sometimes an online booking will take you 10 minutes. Sometimes it just won't work and you've got to call up, you've got to explain to the agent all this stuff that's happening, and that requires knowledge because sometimes they don't give you the right information.
It is one of the limitations when you're booking online because it's fairly vanilla, the options that you've got, I've found.
Yeah, because online, they want to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
But the whole system is actually really complex. So they can't actually make the online system process complex, because then people would just be completely lost. So that's why the online system is sort of like as simple as they can make it, but you're losing a lot of functionality there if you don't know what can be done.
Absolutely. So have you got any final tips for the small business owner then who's starting to think about maybe they deserve a business class or trip or two?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think everyone should try to earn as many points as they can, even if they can't decide what they want to do with it. So for me, I see it like money. Like, you don't not earn $1 because you can't decide what to do with it. And same for points. Because a point can just accumulate. You just accumulate those points, and then one day you might get, a friend overseas might be having a wedding. Well, perfect. That's a perfect time to use your points. But if you didn't have the points, then you don't have an option to use them. So I think that's number one, is always accumulate the points if possible, especially if something is zero surcharge or very low, getting those points for free. And then the second one is more like, if your business is spending probably, say, $50,000 a month paying non-wage expenses, then once a year you can probably score about 2 business class flights out of those points, which is probably worth about $15,000. So then if you're in that range, you definitely should more closely to getting the right card and paying your suppliers.
I reckon that there will be a lot of business owners who haven't been thinking about that and, should and are going to start doing some research. So I'll include some contact details in the podcast notes so that everyone can hit you up. You're only looking after Australian businesses, aren't you?
Yeah, we only help Australian businesses that could get Australian credit cards at the moment.
These sort of principles work the same in the US and the UK as well, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much the same concept. We just don't offer the overseas service.
Yep.
But yeah, same concept. Pick the right card at earning the most points and then use those points to fly.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Steve. It's a really good introduction into something which I reckon is probably a really big opportunity for a lot of small business owners out there.
Yeah, definitely. Get in touch, ask me questions. It can be quite complicated, but once I break it down, you sort of realise, and actually most people realise, why the hell didn't I do this years ago? Because I would have so much more points.
Exactly.
And that's why we put the challenge out, get started now.
Exactly. That's good advice. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Wonderful to share.
There you go. I'm hoping that there's a few people who are going to be going, damn, I should have been doing this a lot earlier. And I know I have, because we've got a credit card that probably the most of our credit card transactions go through, and it's capped at 3,000 points per month, which is just absolutely crazy bananas. Not good at all. So have a think about it. And you know what? I'd really like it. Tag us in a photo or send us a photo of you in business class after you've, put some of these things in place. I would love to see that, because this is one of the things. So our BHAG at Marketing for Restaurants, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to make a meaningful difference in people's lives. And this is what we strive to do at Marketing for Restaurants. And if we've been able to help you, A, get that holiday, and B, do it in business class, or imagine if you went first class. I've never been in first class, though. That's still on my bucket list. I don't know if I'm going to get the whole family in there, though. It might be just a business trip, I think, that I'll take by myself, because that's a lot of points. But if we help you do that, I'd love to see the photo of it. That would be epic. That would mean a lot for me and for the team. So that's about it. You have an outstanding day. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.